just a second. Always wait for it to actually say it started. I appreciate everybody that was able to connect in. I'm John Ashley, product trainer at Lone Wolf Technologies. Today we're going to be digging into the zipForm platform, the transaction management system, zipForm. We do have quite a few on the call today, so I have disabled mics and video for those that are trying to unmute yourself in the moment. So mics and video are currently turned off, just to make it so we don't have any distractions as we're going from session to session. From segment to segment there. But I will, at the very end of the session, I will give everyone an opportunity to be able to raise your hand where I'll unmute you if you'd like to ask questions. Also, there is a chat box. So if you have a question during the session itself, you can always ask a question within the chat box. Or, like I mentioned, at the very, very end of the session, we are going to go ahead and allow you to be able to unmute to ask questions as well. So no worries if you have questions. You're like, you know what, I really need to get a couple things answered today. Perfectly okay. We're going to make sure and take care of you all today. All right. Topics today include creating a transaction, using the zipForm MLS Connect feature, transaction summary info, creating parties, adding documents, and then adding the checklist items on there as well. So we're going to be digging into quite a few wonderful details within the program, really digging in and talking about the zipForm platform and how it is a full transaction management system. This is not just a forms management system. It's not just a transaction where you just put in the little pieces on there. It's a full transaction management system, and it's here to be able to assist you in all of your areas of need, okay? So let's go ahead and jump right into the program. Don't forget, if you have questions, add them into the chat box, or at the very end, we will have an opportunity for you to be able to unmute yourself as well. When you log into the program, it should look like this. For those that have been with us for a while, you may recognize that this looks a little different than it used to. You may go, well, wait a second, it looks, it may look a little bit different or quite a bit different than what you're used to seeing from the past. Totally understandable. We did have a former user interface, but even though it looks different, everything on here hasn't changed. So real quick, there a question that came in. This is being recorded, and I am going to send a recording over to Central Texas at the end of the session. That way they can provide it to their members afterwards. But thank you so much, Sherry, for that question. I did forget to mention that. Yes, it looks a little bit different, but we only changed a couple things on here. We moved up your different navigational items to the top of the page. It used to be down here. And then we also got rid of that off-color green. I don't really know how else to describe that green that we used to have, but we got rid of that blue and green and just made it a little bit sleeker looking. But we wanted to make it so that you had more space to be able to read through your transaction details and more space to be able to view the items that you actually need instead of having all the space taken up by multiple bars at the top. So that's really all that's changed. Everything is still in the same place. You still go to all the different same places to be able to access the different areas that you need, but just the look of it has changed a little bit. One thing that is definitely the same is if you head up to the picture icon at the top, you will still see your profile and settings. We do have an option for English to Spanish for those that do need to have English to Spanish on there. Now, real quick, this does not change your forms to Spanish. I want to be very clear on that. If you need forms in Spanish, you'll need to contact your MLS or your office. We do not have the legal right to be able to change any forms from English into Spanish, but you can change the program to English to Spanish if you need to. We'll go ahead and head into Profile and Settings. Just want to make sure that your details are correct. If you ever send an email out from inside the program, you're going to want to make sure that you have your correct email signature and that your details are correct. If you notice anything incorrect, just make any adjustments you can. Though it is connected with your MLS, you may also double check your MLS to make sure that your information within the MLS is correct as well. Office, again, usually for you, you're not going to be able to adjust this because this is connected directly to your office. So if you notice this is wrong, be sure to connect into your MLS and double check to make sure that it's correct on the MLS side. Forms library. This will show you what forms have been provided by your MLS. So you may notice some Texas options on there for you. For me, I have a couple demo libraries that I use, but for you, you're going to have some different libraries that are all in this Texas region that you can use. Products, this is going to let you know what is being provided by the Central Texas MLS. They've been very kind in the amount of items that they have provided. Settings. Now, we do connect with multiple e-sign systems, and I know that e-sign is not automatically provided with the subscription. So what we're going to be able to do is that if you would like, you can purchase a subscription to either Authentisign or DocuSign. Authentisign is our internal system. There is a significant discount on it. I'm not going to dig in too much because my purpose is not to sell you on anything today. I just wanted to be able to let you know you can purchase an e-sign solution to connect to the system if you would like as well. So if you want to use electronic signature, you can definitely do that. I'll provide the contact details for who you reach out to if that's something you're looking into. You can decide some different setting options that you have. Notification settings. Now, this is important. I would make sure and turn on every notification that you can. That way you can keep track of all your tasks. That makes it so you can keep track of all your checklist items as you're going through them, instead of you just kind of only jumping and knowing what's happening within the program when you jump into the program, okay? So just wanted to take you on a quick tour through the profile and settings. Let's talk about the navigational pieces here at the top, the different options that you have. First, we have the dashboard. The dashboard is going to help you keep track of items such as what tasks are due this week and what listings are about to expire or close. If you connect eSign, you can track what eSigns you have in progress, and then you can also see your recent activity to see if you have completed anything recently or been working on anything recently as well. At the top of the page, you can start a new transaction here if you'd like. You can start a new eSign or create a new contact. You can also use a tool called List Flash. List Flash allows you to create social media notifications, social media posts, sorry, not notifications, but posts. Hopefully you're going to get into a lot of notifications from that post, but it'll help you create social media posts to talk about a listing, and you can actually set exactly when that will go out as well. Forms here is going to allow you to see your library of forms. For those that are older users, you'll have that classic and new forms editor. New users should only have the new forms editor. Either way, I would suggest going only to the new forms editor. This is just going to show you when you're in here. This is just going to show you what forms you may have available. It's not, the purpose of that is not to actually use that to be able to adjust your forms. If you want to do that, you need to create a transaction. That's a very important step there. You need to be able to create a transaction. Now, I'm in my transaction screen. One thing that you may note, right when you get into the program, you may see that we have some different webinars that you can sign up for. We do have free public webinars. I'm going to show you where you can sign up for all of our different webinars here in a bit, but I did want to show you where you can see our little ads just for what webinars that we have available coming up in the near future. Okay. Next here, so this is transactions. We're going to be coming back to this here in a second. Templates. Templates are amazing time-saving features, and I definitely suggest everybody on the call be sure to check out our templates class. With a template, you can very quickly add on particular documents, forms, folders, and checklist items onto a transaction. So instead of going through the process of, well, I have to go into create the listing, and now I need to add all these forms, now I need to add in all these documents, you could instead create a template which will automatically add those items in onto your transaction for you. So really great time-saving features. If you haven't taken our templates class, I definitely would suggest it. Doc Inbox, you can actually send documents directly into the program using the email address at the top of the page. So everybody will have their own personalized email, where if you provide this to an inspector or an appraiser, you can say, hey, can you send that document over to that email? Maybe CC it or something like that. And then it will actually come directly into the program, where you can then easily move it to a transaction or print it or download it, wherever you need to do from there. Tasks, every task that you connect to a transaction, you can track them right here. Contacts, as we create contacts, you're going to see a save contact option. And so this is where all of those contacts will be saved. It's the little black book of zipForm there. You can even export these out if you want to be able to connect them into your CRM systems. I know some of you on here, you have MailChimp, or you have LionDesk or Property Base Go or something like that you'll be able to reach out to those individuals. So save your contacts, make sure you can export them out, okay? And then last but not least, partners. We do work with quite a few different companies, not only our own products like Boost, Workspace, Cloud CMA, but we also work with quite a few companies outside of Lone Wolf like DocuSign and eCommission, Google, Google Calendar, Google Contacts, Outlook as well, Rintsbury. So we do work with quite a few different other companies as well to be able to link accounts and make the workflow quite a bit easier for you. I definitely would suggest if you have any of these options here, if you are currently purchasing any of these options, definitely either check it out or go ahead and sign in so you can link zipForm with those other partners. All right, and there's no additional fee for linking those accounts. So just the fee, the normal fee you would pay for the product, but no fee for actually linking it with zipForm itself. All right, let's create a transaction. So that was just the navigational piece. I wanted everybody to be comfortable with what everything represents at the top. I don't see any questions. I know I went through that piece kind of quickly, so if you need me to go back and show you something again, you can always let me know a little bit later, okay? For now, let's go ahead and create a transaction together. So on the transactions page, I'm going to go to plus new. And great, Vanessa. So Vanessa, if there is, I don't know what you said yes, please to about creating a transaction or about navigation, but of course, we'll have ample time for questions later if there is something that you want me to show again. So we have new listing, new purchase, new lease. Let's do a new purchase today, new purchase offer. So with the new purchase offer here, you are going to have several options now for being able to add in address details and category and property address. You may wonder what some of these items represent. Now, I chose to do a new purchase representing the buyer. The reason that is because your MLS is providing you a really, really great tool called MLS Connect. What MLS Connect does is that it actually connects with the MLS itself to make it so that you can easily bring over transactions from the actual MLS into zipForm itself. So instead of you having to go through the process of creating and adding in every single detail about the transaction, you can instead use the MLS Connect feature to bring over information about that listing from the MLS itself. Now, I have, like I said, a demo library that I'm using. Yours is going to say Central Texas MLS. You're going to choose what listing type it is, and then you're going to plug in the MLS listing ID. So you're going to pull that directly from the Central Texas MLS, the MLS listing ID. I like to include the property photo. It just grabs the primary photo used there. We'll go ahead and push find. And this found the listing. For you, it would do exactly the same thing. It would find the listing, and then you can select to use the listing. It'll automatically put the property address information in, so you don't have to plug in property address details here. Now, one thing that we always suggest, this top here, name, that is the title that you're going to be using for the listing itself. That's the title that you're going to see right here. We usually suggest, if you can, use the actual name of the property itself, the address of the property. We do understand there are times you don't know if an offer is going to go through yet or not, so you can use the buyer's name as well for the name part right here. Property address. Now, if this listing isn't on the MLS yet, let's say that you're working with a brand new seller, right? You're working with a new seller and you are going to, since you're working with a new seller there, you are going to add the listing into zipForm, and then later on, you're going to go ahead and add it into the MLS. So in the beginning, you're just going to add it to zipForm, and then when you're ready, you'll add it to the MLS, right? And so what you can use instead of MLS Connect, because remember, MLS Connect is only if you already have the listing in the MLS itself, okay? Only if you have the listing in the MLS itself. But for every other circumstance, what you can do is plug in the address details and use what's called zipForm Record Connect. Record Connect actually connects you with the actual tax records itself. And because it connects with tax records, what will happen is that when you plug that information in, it'll bring in the information just like MLS Connect does. It doesn't show as much information as the MLS Connect feature does, but it does show quite a bit of details for you. So it is a really great tool to be able to save you some time and be able to more easily put together the information that you need on this listing. Okay, so it is a great way to be able to come in and be able to bring in information about the listing just like MLS Connect. The big difference between the two is that with MLS Connect, it is going to bring in more detail because it's coming from the MLS itself, right? So we're going to select residential, to select the status here. If you have a template, go ahead and use that template right there. Again, templates, great time saving feature. Would definitely suggest checking out our webinar on templates if you haven't yet. Let's go ahead and select save and create the listing. Because I use the MLS Connect feature, it brought in some very special details. So first, it added in quite a few details for me already. It may not have added everything, but it added in several details for me. For you, it may even add more details than what my demo was showing. So my demo didn't bring in everything over. It has quite a few good details, but it didn't bring over everything. For you, it may even bring even more information in, depending upon what the actual feed from the Central Texas MLS is able to provide. Okay, and so from there, you can continue to fill out if there is any missing information. One of the great details that it brings in automatically are the parties connected through the MLS. So you can actually see the listing agent. And in this circumstance, it automatically added me as a selling agent. It could even possibly add in seller 1, seller 2, depending upon what information is in the MLS itself. So not only can it bring in the listing agent for you, it can go ahead and bring in seller 1 and seller 2 as well. But let's take one step back to the summary. Fill in as many details as you possibly can. The more details that you add in, the better this is going to be for you when you are talking about your forms here in a second. So we'll go ahead and fill in all the details that we can. Like I said, quite a bit of it will automatically already be filled in for you where you won't have to worry about it. But for everything else, you're just going to come in and get it filled out. All right. Now that we have some details put together on this listing, a couple of things to go through real quick. If you do connect an e-sign solution here, you can go right here to e-sign in progress. You can see tasks on here. You can see what parties are already connected. On the right-hand side, you can connect with multiple integrations that we have. We have title and home warranty. So we have several different integrations that you can use as well to be able to connect your systems if you'd like. Again, it's depending upon what you want to use. There's no, you don't have to use any of these options. They're there if you would like to. Okay. All right. At the top of the page, if you connect eSign, it's right there. If you didn't use MLS Connect feature the first time, but you would like to use it now. So let's say that you came in and you're like, you know what? First time around, the listing wasn't on the market yet, but now it is on the market. So what you can actually do is come in and use that MLS Connect feature and the Record Connect feature even after the listing. You're going through there, even after the listing is already in zipForm itself. So some great options for you if you need to be able to use those features even after creating it within zipForm. All right, next here we have Cloud CMA. If you want to connect your Cloud CMA account, we have apply template. So let's say that you created a template after creating the transaction. You can always come back and apply the template even afterwards. Add documents, which we'll be doing in a second. Email to transaction. So you actually have a specialized email address just for this transaction by itself as well. So not only do you have a specialized email address for the system, but you do have a specialized email address just for the transaction where you can have items sent over to the transaction quite easily there. Okay, so really great feature. I definitely would suggest using it to be able to attach items into the actual system itself. Okay. Next, let's talk about parties. I'm actually going to delete these parties because I don't want to accidentally send, these are real parties, these are real individuals there. I don't want to send an email thinking that they're getting an offer or something like that when I'm just using them as an example. So I'm going to select them and push delete. You can mass delete contacts if you need to. Let's talk about adding contacts. So if this is a circumstance where you didn't use the MLS Connect feature or the Record Connect feature, but instead you're trying to attach a contact after creating the transaction in zipForm, you can always come in and select the different contacts here to start creating them. So let's start with buyer one. Let's see here. Who's a good buyer one here? Well, Mike, you are so great in getting this all put together. So I'm going to name you Mike, Texas here. You're going to be my buyer. Go ahead and plug in as many details as you can. The more details you can plug in, the easier this will be for you on your forms a little bit later. Okay. So plug in all the details that you can. This is where you get to save it to the address book. So if this is someone you might want to work with at a later date, you can always save them to the address book to be able to have them connected and be able to connect them within zipForm itself as well. Also, we have a signing representative. So if you are working with a trustee or a signing company of some kind, or someone is going to be signing for a person, you could always use that signing representative option right there. Okay, we have that as an option, signing representative there. Go ahead and select save. So Mike, you're my buyer one. Sherry, you asked if this is recorded, so I'm just going to borrow you for this. Sherry, Texas here, be my buyer two. Now, one question I get pretty consistently, can you use the same email address for more than one person? So yes, you can use the same email address if you do have like maybe two buyers that have the same email. I know husbands and wives that share email addresses, so you can have the same email address for more than one person. Also, if you run into a circumstance where you have more than four buyers, more than four sellers, more than four tenants, in that circumstance, what you can do is you can scroll down to the add other option. So you can use the add other option to be able to add in additional contacts beyond the four. Also, and hopefully this is what Sherry is asking on here, you can pull contacts from the zipForm system, and you can also pull contacts from outside zipForm as well. So if I click on the little blue book right there, first I can pull from my zipForm contacts at any time. So if there's a particular person I want to be able to connect with, I can scroll through and find that person. I'll look for them in a second. We can also connect with services like Lion Desk, Wise Agent CRM, Top Producer, Google, Microsoft Contacts, and even Yahoo Contacts. So you can pull these contacts. You don't have to create each one. If you have a system connected, you can pull those contacts in as well with those multiple service options. And then the zipForm contacts on here is where you can, it's kind of the little address book for this as well. Sherry, is address book an actual service that you use, or is it just is that a CRM system that you use? Or are you saying that, so this would be the saved contacts on here is your address book, the zipForm contacts right here. So I am going to grab a agent. Let's use one from the past. So see, I created this person in the past. They connected with me on a particular listing, and now I am connecting with them again. So if I come in, I push done now, it will automatically add the contact in, and I can push save. So David is asking a question saying, if I have more than two buyers, say I have four, when I print or send for signature, only the first two buyers can sign. I don't see the other two. So if you're using AuthentiSign, our system does have the ability to add additional signature portions on there for additional contacts. So you're right in that normally it is only two that are connected. So normally only two would be connected in most circumstances. But if there is a circumstance where you have more than two and you use AuthentiSign, you can actually bring in additional signer sections for them. Now, I'm not going through AuthentiSign today because it's a specific class that you can go through if you'd like, but you can actually sign up for that webinar if you'd like to, where we cover eSign and adding in those additional signature sections, okay? But normally, as a default, David, it is normally two. This is just not us. This is just the way that MLSs usually want to have that put together. So we usually start with two, but you can add in additional signature sections if you need to for those additional contacts. All right, so I have some contacts put together. Let's talk about the document section now. With documents, you have a couple options. First, let's choose how we would like to organize this. So you don't have to use folders. I love folders because I need the organization that comes with folders, but I know not everybody is going to want to use the folder option. It's just there if you'd like to use it. I'm gonna, in the very least, what I'll usually do is I'll have a working folder and a sign folder. But again, this is up to you if you would like to use it or not. You don't have to. You can also add as many folders if you'd like. You can even add subfolders. So if you wanted to have maybe like a offer 1 subfolder, offer 2, offer 3, you can even add subfolders under your original folder there. So lots of options there. You want to add a subfolder under the subfolder under the subfolder. You can do that just depending on what your needs are when you're creating the transaction, okay? Next, we're going to add some documents. So we have 3 primary types. We have first the document itself, which you can either pull from your computer or you can pull from a third-party cloud resource like Google Drive, Box, OneDrive. Those are your systems where you have the actual Google Drive account or OneDrive account where you're going to pull some documents in, okay? With documents, you can add them in. On. Give it a second to load. There we go. So I have some example documents I like to use, so I'll go ahead and open that up and push OK. So it'll say either PDF or Word, and that will show you that that is a document that you pulled in from your own computer or from your own cloud resource. Next, going to add doc here, we have what's called a form. A form is going to come from your MLS. Forms will actually take the information about your transaction and automatically plug it in. So we'll see how that works in a second, but I'm going to grab that buy-sell agreement as an example. There might be other, addendums on there. Might be other options that I need to include. Your MLS may also have more than one library to separate it out, and that's where you would choose it in the drop-down to find what library you're looking for. The last option that you have under Add Doc, I'm going to move to a different folder here real quick for everybody that didn't see what I did. But the last option that you have is called a placeholder. A placeholder is not an actual document or form. It's a reminder of a document or form that you need to have completed at some point. So, for example, let's say that, so I had that exclusive right to represent, right? Exclusive right to represent. So this is a reminder telling me, hey, this is required. This is something I need to get filled in. When it's filled in and signed, then I'll just plug it in right here. Okay, so once it's filled in and signed, then I can just plug it in right there. Another reason you could use, sorry, didn't mean to push apply template. Another reason you can use a placeholder is a reminder of documents that you are going to receive from someone else. For example, I'm not going to be putting together the inspection report. An inspector is going to put together the inspection report. But it is nice to have a reminder that tells me, hey, don't forget, this is something that you need, and that's going to be coming from the inspector at a later date. And when it does, then you can go ahead and actually plug it in right here on the placeholder. Right. And then if someone on here is a broker, we do have review processes that you can create if you want to get a broker type account. So there are broker type accounts where you can come in and be able to add placeholders for your review processes. So if you're a broker, you can use placeholders for review processes as well. All right. No matter if you have the eSign part connected or not, so even if you don't have AuthentiSign or DocuSign connected, you're still going to be able to go into each of these forms using the new forms editor. The new forms editor automatically plugs in details about the listing and gives you the ability to pre-fill in all of your forms. So you're going to actually go line by line and be able to pre-fill in all of your forms to make it so it has the information put together. Makes it so that you can say, okay, these are all the details I need in my form. Let's get this pre-filled out. You can even create a packet by selecting the plus here to be able to add in whatever is needed. You can move it around with the 6 dots here. You can click into it and fill in all the details that are necessary. You can add additional documents and forms if you forgot something. You can even make adjustments using the toolbar here on the right-hand side, like parties. I can make adjustments to my parties. Maybe if there was something I didn't add in here, so like with Mike, address, 123 MLS Lane. And when I push save, it'll automatically add that on there for me. You can do the same with listing info. So if there is something incorrect in what you filled out. So let's say that you're looking at this and you're like, I put in 1624, it's actually 1623. You can adjust it and it will adjust it on every single form at the same time. So not only will it adjust it right here, it actually will adjust it on every single form that you have available at the same time. Okay, so really great feature where you can easily make adjustments to all of your different forms that you have available. Offer info. So just like listing info, this one is with offer info though, so you can come in and be able to easily plug in the details, which will then automatically adjust it on here for you as well. So really fantastic feature there, just making quick adjustments on here so you can have all of your forms filled out and ready to be able to send for sign. We also have this great section called clauses. So there are going to be particular sections within your forms that you can add clauses. You'll see that plus add clause in that circumstance. Hold on, just reading. David had a question. He said, when I used the new editor, I sent something for signature and had to make a correction. When I tried to make a correction in zipForm, it would not let me. I had to type a new form with the corrections. So if you sent it already out for eSign, you will have to reset it and start fresh to be able to make any adjustments to it. So after you send it to eSign, this portion of the new forms editor does go away. We do cover that in our e-signature class, and David, I definitely will show you where you can sign up for that in our eSign class. I don't want to dig too much into eSign because it's not available for everybody on the call today, but I will show you where you can sign up for more of our classes, including a class on eSign that covers questions like that specifically. It's a good point. But so clauses, you can actually come in and create your own library of clauses by selecting that plus create a clause, and then even choose that clause by plus add. So you can come in and add in all your details on your forms. With your documents, I'm gonna add this right here. We also have these tools where you can add in the text on your documents as well. That's where a text box will come in handy, where you can then add in the text that you need onto your documents as well. And by the way, David, within AuthentiSign, there is a tool called Markup, where if you did forget or you wrote the wrong text in, you can use that markup tool to adjust it within a form. Those blue sections are gone, will disappear once you head over to the eSign on there, whether it's DocuSign or AuthentiSign. But the markup tool will still be there, where you can use the markup tool to make some adjustments. Okay. So you can use like a text box here to add in, an office name if you'd like. And then you can even drag that where it needs to go. And you can adjust the font size or color, make it a transparent background if you like as well. All right. So if you are doing old school, you have them in the office, you just want them to sign the forms and documents while they're sitting right there. I completely understand. There's a lot of different signers that prefer that method. I completely understand that that's the method that they prefer. And so in that circumstance, you would print it out right here. So you still will have this available to you. You're still going to be able to use the new forms editor. And then what you'll do is that you'll then print it out from here and then be able to have them sign it by hand. If you are connecting an eSign solution, this is when you would then send it over to eSign. Like I said, I'm not going to be going through that today because it's not available to everybody, but the new forms editor is still available to everyone on the call. So you still will be able to make adjustments and print it out for signing if you would like, or download it for signing. Or if you choose, you can connect an eSign solution to go to prepare signing next. All right, I'm going to back out here. After backing out, let's talk about checklist. So we have some time. Let's talk about checklist. This is a transaction management system, not just a transaction form system, not just a transaction signing system. It is a full transaction management system. And so included in this is a really great feature where you can add in checklist items to be able to track what's occurring for your transaction. This can be something as simple as, and I just need to create this for this listing, so plug this in real quick. Oh, yeah. Right. By the way, a checklist is also something you can use in create in a template as well, where it automatically adds a checklist. So you don't have to come in here and make the adjustments that I'm doing right now. You can just do it on a template. But what you can do is you can come in, choose to create a new task, and then name the task whatever it needs to be. For example, I need to, well, we're past the showing portion on here. I need to send the offer. All right, due date on this is today. I got to get this done today. I could make it relative to a particular date, or I could choose none for a due date. But in this circumstance, this is something I need to get sent out today. Responsible party. In this case, it would be me. So I can choose to have me on there if I'd like. I can. I'll get into categories here in a second. Is this required? Yes. Do I have any documents? If I already have the actual offer filled out and ready to be sent, I could go ahead and attach it on here, or I could choose to attach it later. So I could always choose to attach it later. Once I have this item complete, or right now it's in progress, so I need them to sign it. So I could come in and mark in progress or needs review or completed once that has been sent over to the list agent. We also have the ability, like I said, to be able to attach documents on there, and then you can continue to create whatever task that you need. So if you need to schedule inspection, and this will be relative to the offer date, it will be within 5 days of the offer date, or I guess it would be offer acceptance date. So I put save on there. When it's accepted, then I need to schedule an inspection within 5 days. Okay, I could here. I have final walkthrough. And that's going to be relative to the closing date. It's going to be within 3-4 days of the closing date. Now, right now, it's just kind of a hodgepodge list of different items. Each one kind of is their own category of items that needs to be taken care of, or would be a different part of the process there, whatever part that would be. And so that's why we have categories. Categories are a great way to be able to better organize your transaction. So what you can do is you can come in, put a category here, and let's just call this one offer. I can choose what color I'd like and push save. For the next category, I can push plus new category. The next category will be, accepted offer. Then I can choose a color and push save. Now, right now, some of these items need to be moved over to this other category. That's where we have the organize option at the top. The organize option will now allow me to be able to drag and drop the items to the categories I need to go to. And then I can push done organizing, and I can continue to create my categories. The next one might be closing. Okay, getting to that final countdown. I don't know why that song came to mind this morning, but go ahead and get that countdown completed to the different checklist items that you need to have performed for the closing to be able to be finished. And so you can create those checklists, you can track them, and as I mentioned, you can create this in the template so that you can have this automatically apply onto a transaction instead of having to go through the process of creating this every single time you create a new transaction. So if you want this to be able to automatically apply, which I definitely suggest going that route, then what you're going to do is you're going to create this as a create this under the template so that it will apply when you use the template. All right. We do also have options for notes, be able to track what different notes that you've taken on the transaction. We have the ability to track eSign. So if you do connect to eSign, you can track it here. And then we have the history here where you can track the history of what you've completed on the transaction. Now, that was a lot of detail. I went through a lot of information here. First off, this was recorded, and I will be sending a recording to your Central Texas MLS a little bit later so that they can provide this to everyone that's on the call. Next, we have some great tools to be able to assist you. First, we have Guided Help. Guided Help has simple step-by-step walkthroughs that teach you how to be able to go through the different processes of creating a transaction. We even have a guided help for your templates as well, showing you how to create a template. Also, we have the question mark here at the top right-hand side of the page, which has the Learning Center. The Learning Center has all kinds of wonderful links that you can click to be able to learn more about the system. Also, we have additional webinars that you can sign up for. They are free. They're all recorded. You do get a copy of the recording afterwards. So everyone will get a copy of the recording within 48 hours of the presentation of each of these live webinars. Pulling that up, just waiting for that to load. But we do have a full list of all kinds of topics, including, David, an eSign topic that walks you through Authentisign. So definitely check out that class. We had one a little bit later today, actually. So if you want to sign up for it, you can. Even if you can't make it, everyone does get a recording. So go ahead and get signed up for it. Also, we have help guides that can walk you through. These are printable. We have short link videos. We even have a knowledge base of resources, multiple articles that have been written by our support team for a lot of those frequently asked questions. Speaking of frequently asked questions, Rhonda has a question about how long transactions are saved. So a non-closed transaction or non-expired transaction, so just an open transaction, will be open as long as you have the zipForm platform. It'll always be in the system. Once you close a transaction, it does have a timeline, and that is dependent upon how long the state of Texas itself requires you to keep the forms documents and the transaction available. I don't know the actual rules. You would have to check with the state of Texas itself to determine how long you're supposed to keep it. Usually it's multiple years, anywhere from 7 to 10 years. And so the transaction with all of its documents and forms will stay in the system as long as the period is required by your actual state itself. So we do go by state rules in that circumstance. I was told, Ashley, that you should have MLS Connect available to you. So you should have the MLS Connect feature available to you. If you're not seeing access to it, you can always reach out to our customer support team. And I'm going to give you their phone number here in just a second. So if there's any type of technical issue, you're not seeing something properly, if you have questions about something that you might want to look at getting added on, or you have something that should be on there that's not on there, you can always reach out to our support team for assistance. They're actually available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And here in just a second, well, might as well talk about it now. So first, we do have different social media if you want to connect with us via social media. But like I mentioned, support. Our support team is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you have any questions, any problems, anything come up, any concerns, you can always reach out to our support team for assistance. They're very, very happy to help with anything at all that may come up. And Ashley, one way to be able to check what is and isn't available to you is to head up to your person profile, go to profile and settings, and then look under products. Cheryl is asking about change the name of a transaction. There's two ways you can do that. First, you can go to the little blue icon right there, go to transaction details, which will allow you to adjust the name. Or if you're in the transaction already, again, little blue button right there, transaction details, and then adjust the name of the transaction. So that's for the title of the transaction. The actual street address itself can be changed in the summary details. Right. At this point, I am going to also allow if anyone, oh, Ashley, I have access to MLSs, which makes it tricky, but I did reach out to support and they said neither of my MLSs have access. Thank you. I will check my profile. Okay. Yeah, I would, the support team on there would know best in that circumstance. My understanding that one of them, that MLS, the Central Texas, does have a connection on there. I could be incorrect, but it is a wonderful resource if you get that added on at some point. Okay. All right. At this point, though, I will also allow anybody, if you want to raise your hand to ask a question, I can also unmute you at this point. So if you have a specific question, I can also unmute you to be able to ask a question, or you can continue to add them to the chat. Either way. All right. Any other questions? Vanessa, here, let me get you real quick. All right. I turned on your mic so you can unmute if you would like be able to ask your question.
Okay, I was wondering, on the where we can integrate our calendars on there, it would be on what was that? Um,
Yeah, the partner selection.
the partners. Okay, so I could just merge my calendar to this partner if I can find it, correct?
Yes, so we have Google Calendar and we have Outlook Calendar for calendars, and then we also have CRM systems that connect as well.
Okay, that was my question.
Excellent. Good question.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And here. Vanessa, I don't know if you meant to raise your hand again. I'm going to lower your hand and then you can raise it again if you need to. Sandra, let me get you real quick. Hi, Sandra. Do you have a question, Sandra? Cheryl, while Sandra is determining if they need to unmute or not, Cheryl, you can save at a transaction. It'll actually give you that option, so you'll have a warning that will tell you that a listing is about to expire. So you can go in and save that transaction if you have one that's about to expire out. All right, Sandra, question?
Yes. In the workspace, can templates be created in the workspace, or do we have to drag each form there every time?
So the workspace on here, what a template does is it automatically adds the forms And then when you go into the workspace, those forms will be at the bottom section here. So if I start a new one, they'll be in the bottom section. You'll still need to add them into the packet because you need to tell the system, hey, these are the ones that I want to fill in right now. Because I'm guessing you're not going to want to fill in every single form every single time. There's going to be specific forms you send out during specific parts of your transaction. So right now, this would be sending out the offer. Next would be sending out some of the other forms that might be necessary there for the transaction at a little later date. Okay, so you do need to hit the plus to add it to the top here. But what the template does is that it will automatically add in the desired forms. With a template, you go to plus new, choose what type, and then name the template what you would like. Once you create the template, you can then come in and attach particular folders and particular documents and forms. So I can come in and let's say that I want every single time I do a list side transaction, I have this exclusive right to represent that I'm going to connect. Give it just a second to be able to connect. Martha, this is recorded. This has been recorded, and we will be sending it out to the MLS a little bit later today. And then you can also attach those additional forms on there. And add everything that you need. Go. Go. Drag it where it needs to go so I can add in all the different forms that I need. Disclosure or addendums or standard listing contracts. So I have all kinds of options here. And so now when I create my transaction, if I select to use that template, it will automatically add in all those different forms on there. Ashley, I saw your question first. If you add that person as an additional party, so Ashley is asking, is there a way for two agents to have access to a checklist? If you add that person as an additional party by going to add other for a co-list, you can then set the checklist where it is the responsible party can be that other individual so that they can see it as well. So you can see both items on there. And then also you can share transactions. So if I go here to the little drop down here, there at times will be options for you to be able to share this transaction with other agents. It just depends on the circumstances and the connection that you have with that particular party on there. You'll also notice under parties, you have the share option to be able to share with other users as well. So you can share particular items with other users as well. Okay, next person, I'm sorry, I will probably mispronounce your name, so I am just going to allow you to speak and you can tell me how to pronounce your name.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Yitzhak. The question I have is, so sometimes when I upload like the seller's disclosure notice and send it, get it ready to send for signatures, it automatically, you will put all of the blanks so that the client can fill them out. But like on a sewer, another sewer disclosure, it won't do that. Like on the last time I had to go in and put all of the boxes there for my client to be able to fill out. Is there a way or is it just depend on each document whether it will automatically make those signature boxes easily fillable?
It depends on how the form is set up. You can always contact either our support team to be able to connect with the forms on there, or you can also contact, so it does depend, with your MLS there, your MLS can also Connect to be able to say, okay, yeah, this is what we would like to see, how this form is filled out in on there. So it depends on how the MLS is requested for it to be able to be automatically added in, but you can always bring that up too with our support team to be able to take a look if you'd like.
Okay.
Good questions. Lots of good questions coming in here. All right. And don't forget about our support team. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are more than happy to help with anything at all that may come up along the way. So give them a call, send them an email. They are very happy to help with anything at all that may come up. Well, I appreciate everybody that was able to join in. Thank you so much for connecting on today's session. And Chris, yeah, thank you so much for connecting. I appreciate everybody that took the time out of their day to be able to connect with me. Look out for that recording. I'm going to be sending it over to your MLS a little bit later. But beyond that, thank you so much for connecting, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day.